Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to Get Hit with the Truth. So today, doing the What's Next on Ryan Garcia, the undefeated top lightweight contender right now. He returned to action on Saturday, April 9th after about a 15-month layoff, and he took on veteran Emanuel Tagoe. Not a big-time name in Tagoe, but he did his business, went in there, dominated the action, scored a couple knockdowns en route to a one-sided 12-round unanimous decision as Garcia gets back into the mix. Now, the big question is, what's next for Ryan Garcia? Well, you know, it's kind of tough to say because he's not a mandatory anymore. He's not a mandatory challenger anymore, and you have the big undisputed title lightweight showdown taking place on June 5th that's going to see George Kambosos Jr. against Devin Haney. The winner, if it's Haney, especially if Haney beats George Kambosos, then he's going to have to rematch Kambosos unless Kambosos, you know, elects to not rematch Haney because he gets beat down so badly or something along that nature, that possibility of that. Then maybe Kambosos passes. I mean, maybe in that point, then Haney and him might be available, but it looks like Haney signed on a deal to take on Vasily Lomachenko, either after a second fight or prior to that. Lomachenko's the #1 contender. So Ryan right now looks like he's in a position to where he can pretty much fight whoever he wants. And, you know, there's a lot of possibilities there, but it doesn't look like the top dog, at least title-wise, Kambosos or Haney, is a possibility for him. So let's run through the top 10 real quick and see what could potentially be an option for Ryan Garcia moving forward. So we start with #1, Kambosos. So we said not in the mix right now. #2, Teofimo Lopez is moving up to 140, so no possibility there. #3 is Vasily Lomachenko. I only think this would be possible if Loma really wanted to fight a top-tier opponent while he waits around for Haney and Kambosos, the winner of that, later in the year. But he's dealing with the issue in the Ukraine with Russia invading. So I honestly don't see Lomachenko coming back and wanting to risk the undisputed title fight by taking on Garcia prior to, you know, fighting for the world title. And like I said, that doesn't mean that Lomachenko wouldn't want to fight Ryan at some point, but I think he'd only want to risk a fight with Ryan Garcia once the titles are at stake, if that makes sense. Next is Devin Haney. Not going to happen. Haney's fighting Kambosos next. Likely going to be 2 fights, you know, so not seeing this one. #5, Gervonta Tank Davis. Well, here's why this fight might potentially happen in the second half of the year. Davis first has to get by Rolando Romero on May 28th in a mandatory fight, but Davis is going to be the WBA mandatory after this fight. If he defeats Romero, he'll be the WBA mandatory, but he's likely not going to get the champion. So either the WBA is going to strip the winner of Kambosos and Haney after they order a mandatory fight, and once the winner of that fight says no to fighting Davis because they're obligated to fight each other, then Davis would become the WBA lightweight champion. And Davis is also wrapping it up with Floyd Mayweather Promotions. It looks like he's done with them, and he's going to be jumping on to his, to somebody else, or possibly going to be a free agent. So, you know, right now it really doesn't look likely that we're going to see. I mean, it looks like Tank Davis and Ryan might be possible. It's a big fight. Davis has been wanting a big fight. Ryan's been wanting a big fight. And these two guys might be the ones that could potentially fight each other. And I think if Davis signs a 1 or 2 fight deal with Golden Boy, or just for that one fight, that's a huge showdown right there of 2 young undefeated fighters that a lot of people want to see fight. So I think there's definitely a possibility for Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia in the second half of this year. Now, Joseph Diaz Jr. Another one I think is very possible because JoJo is with Golden Boy and so is Ryan. So I could definitely see that one. I think there's a strong chance of that fight. Zaur Abdullayev. He knocked out Jorge Linares. And Devin Haney's also got a win over Abdullayev. So that would make a lot of sense for Ryan Garcia to take on Abdullayev to try to move up. So I think that's a good possibility for Ryan right there. And then you got Javier Fortuna. That's a fight that almost happened at some point. I think that's a possibility. Fortuna's coming off the loss to Jojo Diaz last year, but he barely lost that fight. I think he'd sign on to fight Ryan. Richard Comey, I'm not seeing it. Lee Selby retired. And Isaac Cruz is the last possibility. And I think as much shit as those two guys talk and as much of a firefight as that would be, if Golden Boy and the PBC could come to terms, I think that fight's very possible. So right now for me, there's 5 options for Ryan. I'm not sure the order of the likelihood. I think Isaac Cruz, who I just spoke of, that would be a firefight. These two guys have talked a lot of shit. I think that's possible. I think Javier Fortuna is possible. I think Jojo Diaz is possible. I think Zaur Abdullayev, off of his win against Jorge Linares, is possible. And I really am gonna say I think Tank Davis could happen as well. So a lot of options for Ryan now that he's back, and I'm really looking forward to seeing who it is. But it's got to be one of those 5 guys at the very least. Ryan cannot take another tune-up bout. He's got to go after a solid top 10 lightweight in his next fight. So we'll see what happens. But that's what's next on the undefeated lightweight contender, Ryan Garcia, following his dominating performance against Emanuel Tagoe. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, smash the like button, leave me a comment, or subscribe to the channel. And I appreciate all the support I can get. And this is True Boxing. You've been here with the truth.